Are you interested in traveling the world, but you just don't know how to do it, and you can't find anyone to do it with? Well, watch this video because I'm going to share with you my story on how I traveled the world by myself for a year and a half, seeing over 25 countries. So for those who don't know, I'm just going to give you a little background story on about me and how I traveled around the world for a year and a half, going through more than 25 countries, and I did it all by myself. So at a certain point of my life and in my career, I decided I've always wanted to travel and see the world, and I really think traveling is such an important thing for everyone to do, because not only does it give you a wide perspective and a different look on life, but it shows you that not everything is just what you know in your own world, or what you have at home. It's not just living in your town or living in your state or even living in your city or your country that you're from. There is so much more to this world than just what you know. So I really believe that time is super important. You know, and some people they have the time, but then they don't have the money. And then some people have the money, but they don't have the time. But between the two, I really think time always outwins for me, because, you know, money is something that you can always earn in the potential future, whereas time is something you just can never get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So there was a point in my career where I actually wasn't working and I had time. And I had saved up a certain amount of money to go and travel. So I thought, okay, this is a perfect indication for me to go and see the world. So I decided to go and buy a round the world ticket. And a round the world ticket is, at that time for me, it was with the Star Alliance Group, and it's basically a group of different airlines that are all joined into this one alliance, and you can pick certain destinations that you want to go to, and depending on the destinations and the distances, you have a flexible open ticket that takes you around the world from one destination, and it has to go in the same direction. You can't go back, so it's not like you can backtrack. You have to go in one direction, and you can go to different destinations, and you have to come back to your original departure city within a year. And depending on the number of cities that you pick and the distance that you're flying, they will give you a price for that ticket. So I was on a around the world ticket, and I went in one direction, and I picked, I believe it was 13 or 14 different cities. I had planned these cities in advance. So you do have to sit down and kind of map out which areas you want to go to. So definitely hit all the big continents. I did hit all the big continents, and then you pick a tentative or selective date for these cities. So for example, if I'm flying from Los Angeles to Fiji, which was one of my stops, I had selected, let's say I'm leaving on just December 15th, and I'm gonna leave Fiji to go to New Zealand, which was my next destination, on January 5th. So you have these selective dates prepared in advance. You go book them with the round the world ticket provider, but these are open and flexible tickets. So, you know, it's not like you're set in stone to leave on those dates. If you decide that you want to change those dates, it is easy to do that. You just have to call the airline and change the dates accordingly. There's no additional cost. For me at that time, there was no additional cost. And that was what I really liked about it, was that I was able to plan my itinerary somewhat in advance, and that the dates were flexible. Because for me as a solo traveler, I think it's important that you have the flexibility, and that's why you're traveling by yourself. Because if you are traveling with someone else or in a group, you'd always have to be kind of restricted to their schedules and their needs. So for me, flexibility was really important. Once I got to certain continents, like in Asia or in Europe, there are discounted smaller airlines that are a lot cheaper, that you can fly within the continent or within different countries. So I can fly from, let's say, Spain to France on like a smaller airline, which is a lot cheaper. And those airlines I was able to book once I got to the continent. And I will say, you know, flying solo, the benefits of flying solo is that you can just make your own schedule. And that's how I traveled. I love just the fact that I was able to land in a place I didn't have any idea where I was going to go. Sometimes I didn't even have a hotel or a hostel booked. I would just land in a city. I would look at my travel book and I would tell the cab driver where I wanted to go, which area, and then I would just book a room. And it was just kind of like a day-to-day kind of adventure for me. And I love that kind of traveling for me. So it's always good when you're by yourself to really be open to certain situations, because that's for me how I got to meet very incredible people who've traveled all over the world, who were able to share advice. And that's important because when you're by yourself, it's a really good way to meet other travelers, and it's a really good way to also network and connect and also share information. So for example, like I was in New Zealand at the time, and I met this other traveler who had been traveling for years. I can't recall exactly the number of years, but she had almost been everywhere. And I asked her, where is your favorite place that you've seen so far? And she told me her favorite place were the Maldives. And that wasn't actually on my itinerary at the time, so I was like, cool, I want to see what the Maldives is like. I researched it and I thought, okay, this looks fantastic. I'm gonna try to find a way to get there. I did find a way to get there, and till this day, I've traveled all over the world, and I too believe the Maldives is the most beautiful place in terms of a beach. If you like beaches, which I do, I think Maldives is absolutely stunning. It is the picture perfect, gorgeous, beautiful beaches and islands, and it was just stunning, breathtaking. I honestly don't have words for how beautiful that place was. So it was good to share and get that information. If I wasn't traveling by myself, if I was traveling with someone else, you're not as open to meeting other travelers. So when you're by yourself, just be open, go with the flow, and share information. If you have something that's really interesting that you want to share with other travelers, please do, because they'll appreciate that as well. I have another story where I was in Fiji and I didn't really have a set itinerary there, but I was talking to another traveler who told me that there was an amazing village called the Navala village, and it was very, very small village in northern Fiji, and I got the advice from them. And through somehow making my way through buses and transports, I was able to find this little tiny village. They had no running water or electricity. They had a chief in the village, which I was told that I had to offer some kava, which is a drink that they drink in Fiji. It's basically a kava root, and they dry it out and grind it into like a powder. And so I offered the chief the kava root, and they welcome you into the village. I stayed with a Fijian family for about a week. Their entire house was a small little hut, probably about the size like a 10-foot by 10-foot hut. Everyone, the entire family, they had 2 boys. Everyone, the father, mother, and the 2 boys all just slept in the middle of this hut, and that's where I slept. I got to experience Fijian culture, which was fantastic. So, I would never have discovered this place if I had just been by myself, or if I was looking through my travel book that I was following. So it's always good to meet other travelers, and the best way to do that is to go and stay at hostels. So I strongly recommend, if you can, to do that. And if you're looking for privacy, then there are a lot of options as well, especially now with the internet being so with everyone with their smartphones and everyone having access to the internet. There's always Airbnb, there's couch surfing, where it's basically people open their homes to other travelers, and in exchange, you would open your home once you get back. to other travelers. It's just kind of like a really nice give and take relationship, and you get to sleep wherever. It could be an extra couch that they have or an extra guest room or whatever, but you get to stay with them for free. And also the most amazing thing about that is that you get to connect with a local. And for me, that's also a really hot tip, is whenever you can, try and meet and get to know a local, because the locals are going to show you all the best restaurants, all the best places that, you know, tourists don't know about. It's not always written in the books. The locals know, they've been there, they know what is great. So I always like to eat where the locals eat and hang out with the locals. The touristy places are nice to see, but they can get really busy and touristy. So sometimes I always seek out a local and ask them for their advice and their suggestions. One other tip that I have for traveling is that if you can work in certain places. So for me, I ended up traveling around the world for more than a year. It took me about a year and a half, and that's because I ended up staying and living in New Zealand and Australia for some time. I really love those places, and being from Canada and also being part of the Commonwealth country, it was easy as a Canadian for me to go to New Zealand and Australia and get a work visa. So if that's possible for you and you're able to do that, then apply to get a work visa, and you can work anywhere. I worked at a bar for a while, just doing some errands, some serving, and you know, it was great for me because I got to experience a local culture as well as meet some locals and make some money on the side. So another tip for traveling by yourself is sometimes I would try and kill two birds with one stone. So basically, if I'm traveling somewhere in Europe and I needed to get from point A to point B, instead of spending a room money for a hostel or a guest house, I would just take an overnight train or an overnight bus from A to B. That way I can save money on the room, and I can also sleep on the bus and the train and get from point A and point B and get there efficiently rather than have to do it during waking hours. Also, a lot of these discount airlines or these small budget airlines, they have like these low cost fares at these weird and random times, or these like really odd times that people don't want to fly at. If you're flexible enough and you can get there during those times, and you can save a lot of money too just on the airfare. And because you're traveling by yourself, you don't have to look for a large group ticket. You can just buy one ticket, and that will also save you some time and money. And for traveling, if you want to earn money at the same time, then you have so many wonderful resources in today's world to be able to make money online without actually having to be at your home office or in your home city or town. There's a lot of online resources such as Upwork or Fiverr, 99 Designs. If you have some graphic design skills or video editing skills, you can become a virtual assistant. You can be a writer for blogs. I mean, there are tons of online work that you can do from anywhere in the world. You can do it from a beach in Bali, from the mountains in Switzerland, all while traveling, seeing the world, and you're still getting paid money to do so. Or if you have any entrepreneurial desires or skills, you can start an online business. And such as you can create a private label product to sell online on Amazon. You could go and start a blog, get some advertising fees from that. You can do a YouTube channel and talk about your travels that way. You can do affiliate marketing through YouTube channels or Instagram. You can also do a Shopify store where you sell a physical product. There are tons of online businesses that you can do, and you do not necessarily have to be and home to do it. You could be traveling around the world and starting your own business online. Okay, and my last tip, guys, which is so important, I think this is what really makes or breaks anyone in what they want to do and what they want to achieve, is you have to have the right mindset. Your mind, your mental state, everything about what you think and what you can do is so important. If you are going to let fear get in the way, or if you don't really believe that you can do it, then you're not going to be able to do it. I really think your mind is so powerful. It distinguishes successful people to non-successful people. It distinguishes the doers and the sayers. It just really makes a huge difference. So really change your mindset. But you also have to believe in your mind that this is what you want to do and that this is something you can do. You know, I didn't come from a place where I had a lot of experience traveling. I had traveled a few times before I went on my big trip. I just had the right mindset. I knew that this was something I really wanted to do. I knew that this was something that I could do, and I was always open and flexible and always in the right mind to be able to believe that I could do it. And I did it. You know, at that time I had saved up some money, but I did not have a lot of money at that time before I left. So, you know, I was able to do it. I was able to do it for a year and a half. And, you know, in hindsight and today, I really am so glad and so grateful for that experience, because it really opened up my mind. It really opened up my perspective on life, and it gave me a brand new appreciation for life and cultures and things that we have. It really puts a lot of things into perspective when you see how other people in the world, how they live and what their culture is like, and it broadens everything. So I'm a firm believer that you should go out and travel. And if you can't do the whole world trip, at least start with one, you know, international destination to start. Get your feet wet, see if you like it. There are going to be challenges, but you just have to go with the flow. And if you like it, then you can maybe go on a longer trip the next time, or maybe do a couple of international destinations, or however you feel that you want to do. So guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button so you can continue to get notifications of my videos when I upload them. This channel is all about creating a beautiful home and also living your savviest life. And for me, travel is such an important aspect of living a savvy life. I really think everyone should go and travel and see the world, or see parts of the world, or whatever they can do, because it really changes your life and gives you a different perspective and a gratitude of your own life. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I hope you guys all stay savvy.